Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We're going to get started here very shortly. Promise you, I'm not going to be before you very long on this evening. Come on in the room. Join me if you will. Good evening, Dr. McCoy. We're going to get started in 1 minute. Good evening, Tia. Good evening, my sweet potato pie. And everyone else that's joined us and have not made your presence known, I'll greet you all. I'll welcome you all. Good evening, Miss Washington. Hey, listen, y'all. Again, for those that are just now joining us, I'm not going to be before you very long on this evening. Just want to share a couple of things with you. Also, solicit some feedback from you. Y'all know how I do it. You know how we do Let's Talk. It's not let me talk, but rather let us talk. Let us have a dialogue, a conversation with one another. Good evening, Mama. Good evening, Karen. You all come on in the room. So there's a couple of things I want to share with you all, and then I want to pose some questions to you all to help give me a sense, a pulse for the needs of the people. Amen. So we all agree to do that with me on this evening. And again, I promise you, if you share with me, if you give me some feedback, that's just going to get me off here all the sooner. Amen, somebody. Good evening, Alder McCoy. So a couple of quick announcements, a couple of things that I want to share, a couple of announcements that I want to make with you all. First of all, I want to say, although I have been making reference to, I have mentioned it, I'm trying to do a better job of kind of directing traffic, directing everyone to the church's website, because that's where you will find a voluminous amount of information pertaining to what current events, what we're doing, and as well as our media content. And I realize that in doing that, well, you're going to have to keep it up to date, keep the weekly content up to date. For those of you that have gone by and checked it out, csrarap.org, you'll see that right now our current media content, of course, on Sundays, Sunday service at 10 a.m. One thing that we're going to start launching, we're going to begin doing, it's been on the site since it has gone live a couple of months ago, but we have not yet started doing it, but we plan on doing it. If not this Sunday, then the very next. We will do a rebroadcast of the Sunday morning service at 6 p.m. on Sundays. And that'll be starting, if not this Sunday, again, next Sunday as well. And so that's something that we're planning on doing. And then, of course, Mondays, those that have been taking part in the financial freedom. Again, I can't say it enough, y'all, just how much Bridget and Anita have been blessing us with the wealth of information that they've been sharing with us. And I would encourage you, I would implore you to join us. If you know someone, anyone else that may be interested in it, I would encourage you to also share that information with them as well. One of the things we're looking to do in terms of expansion of financial freedom is getting our youth and young adults more engaged. So what does that look like? One of the things that I think is important. Good evening, Sister Wells. One of the things that I think is important for us to do is be able to share, to impart that knowledge, financial knowledge, in terms of seeking financial freedom. We need to begin imparting that on our youth at a young age, teaching them the value, not only the value of a dollar, but teaching them principles of saving, investing. And so we're looking to engage youth, young adults even more in that avenue. Then, of course, Tuesday evenings, of course, Tuesday night teaching. We know the marvelous job that Dr. McCoy does week in, week out. Just blessed with her, blessed by her on a weekly basis. And we all, I'm sure everyone that's tuned in that have sat at her feet on Tuesdays are thankful for God for just imparting such wisdom, such insight, foresight on her and for her. Being obedient, as she tells us week in and week out. She starts out one way, but he directs her in a different direction. So we thank her for being attentive to the Lord's voice and being willing to submit to His will and what the marvelous job that she's doing. Wednesday mornings, 6:30, y'all. I don't know about you all, but I look forward to every Wednesday morning at 6:30, our weekly prayer call. And in that vein, one of the other things that we're going to be doing, many of you may remember, so many of you may not remember, may not recall. A couple of years ago, I would do a daily text blast prayer, a daily text blast containing our daily prayer for us to meditate on. That will be coming back as well here in the next couple of weeks. For those of you that may have discarded that app, I'll, of course, be posting that app information on the Facebook page, as well as the website, as well as sending, for those to whom I have your contact information, I'll send a text blast to everyone as well, containing that app that they can download. So that basically the only thing you would do is download that app on your phone. And when I post the daily prayer, it would automatically send you an alert that it has been posted. You can just access it through that app. And of course, give comments, feedback, or share it as well. So that will be coming back as well. And of course, currently right now, the second Wednesday of each month, we've been doing Let's Talk. A change with that will be going to go back to twice a month, y'all. The second and the fourth Tuesday, second and fourth Wednesday of each month, we will be having Let's Talk, and that's starting this month. So the fourth Tuesday, I'll have someone on with me. And you know how we do it, dialogue, discussion, and with you all engaged in it as well. So that's the other change that we're making. And then the last two things in terms of our content, heart to heart. I know we have not done that in several months. It's been intentional in that we're changing we're not really changing the format, but we're kind of looking to change the dialogue, something different, something fun, So we will, me, myself, and my better half, we will be coming back with Heart to Heart. That will be the first and the third Friday of each month. So of course we missed the first Friday of this month. And so what we'll more than likely do, we're going to probably start back with it the first Friday of December. We will be coming back Heart to Heart. While we're talking about Heart to Heart, and I'll share this when we do resume, the couples retreat that I had talked about several months ago that we're planning for Valentine's Day weekend. Of course, with the ongoing pandemic, that has been postponed. So we would not be doing the couples retreat. And the reason being is we're looking to do that. We want that retreat, that couples retreat, to be something that's intimate. And of course, it's kind of hard to attain intimacy if we have to, keep in mind social distancing. So we're postponing that until things return to some semblance of normal, whatever that's going to look like. And then last but not lastly, I want to applaud the ladies for, you all's what you all have been doing with your women's ministry. Of course, y'all, the meeting the second Saturday of each month. So it's my understanding that this Saturday, 10 a.m. or is it 10:30? I'm gonna stay in my lane. You all will be meeting. If y'all don't mind, I'm gonna bounce in. I want to bounce in. I want to crash y'all's meeting just for a few minutes to share some information with y'all, to speak to you all personally. But here we go. Here's my last announcement, and then I want to ask you all some questions. I want to hear from you all. What I want to do, I'm putting this out there, and I want to hear back from the men folk that tune in. I know I've only seen so far the presence of Brother Thompson, Elder McCoy, but again, those that's tuned in, any males that tune in frequently, put this out there, send notice to them that, hey, Pastor White threw this out there. He needs to hear your response. I want to hear from the men folk in terms of how you all would feel about us having a man cave. The women have their women ministry. I want to hear from what you all thoughts are on having a man cave for us to meet on a regular basis. When I say regular basis, once a month, as the women are doing, and just talk, talk as men, talk as males, men, and just have a dialogue with one another. So I want to hear from you all about that. Not wanting to hear from you all right now, but offline, I want to hear from you all. And again, those that are tuned in and know of someone that you think may be interested, share their information, have them send me a blast. Again, they can send me a direct message. They can DM me through Facebook. They can go to the website. To fill out a form to contact me, to let me know that they are interested. And I want to just hear from us, know how many of us are interested in, so we can begin to formalize that meeting, us having that conversation with one another. That's all I have in terms of content. Just want to update us on a couple of things, and that, again, everything that I've shared with you all, we will be updating it on the church's website as well. But here's what where I want us to park at for the remaining minutes that I'm going to be on here. And I see Dr. McCoy said that the meeting is at 10 a.m. So if you haven't been involved in that, feel free to reach out to Dr. McCoy or my better half or any of the other ladies, Karen, my mom that's involved. in that ministry to find out how you can link up, how you can connect with them. It's a Zoom meeting that they have, so you can, if you're familiar with the Zoom app, you can just get that link, that meeting link from one of the women that's involved in that ministry, so you can join them. If not, then you can also can call in through the Zoom number to connect as well. So feel free to get that information from any of the women that's engaged, that's involved in that ministry. So y'all, here's what I want to hear from you all from about now. As I do customarily, I want to check in. I want to touch bases. I want to hear from you all in terms of the pulse, some things that you all are interested in engaging in, so that we're continuing to provide pertinent content and not just on here filling in time. So I want to hear from you all now. What are some things, some issues, some topics? What are some things that's burning, and that your interest, you have a desire to hear about, to have a discussion about, and so that we can, as we're looking to bring forth some fresh content, fresh information, I can keep that, in my mind, as well as we're trying to stay relevant and provide information, provide a fresh, relevant word that's going to be applicable to your life. So y'all talk to me. Tell me, what are some things that you have a burning desire to hear about, a passion for, and you want us to be more engaged in addressing in terms of the content that we're bringing forth. And, and I'm even throwing this out there on as well. One of the things that I even I listen for when I do this is, hearing from you all, and so that I can even, in my meditation, my time with the Lord, I can even, keep that in mind, even when I'm, preparing to bring a fresh word on Sunday. Because again, that word, I truly believe that word that the Lord has given us on Sunday should touch on some of the things that we're dealing with, to encourage us that through Him we're able to overcome. And and I'm realizing it's not always in a negative vein, but also to give us reassurance that, and so I think it's important to keep an ear to the pulse of what your desires are, and what some things that you have a passion for, so that those needs are being met. Because again, that's ministry, meeting the needs holistically. Remember, that's our mission, to minister to individuals holistically. Good evening, Bridget. Bridget, how can we get our youth more involved? I'm glad you asked that question, Bridget. I don't know if you had already joined us and you heard me giving the plug for the financial freedom and talking about how we're looking at ways to get them even more engaged with that. I truly believe that one of the ways that we get youth more involved, we have to engage them, and we have to engage youth in things that they have an interest in. I've shared this with you all before. A lot of youth they're not real big on Facebook. So I realized, as a pastor, I'm not going to get many youth engaged by only streaming on Facebook, which is why we added YouTube. And we're looking to add even more outlets as well, like Periscope. We have the ability to broadcast. We just haven't been. And one of the reasons why we haven't been is, again, I'm looking and listening to some things that would engage, ways to engage them, not only through their mediums, but what is it that they're interested in being engaged with? And, one of the things that I've been tossing, and this is, you and I having a conversation, Bridget, one of the things that I've been thinking about and that we had planned for this past summer was um, having an event at the church, at the building, having an event we had planned for in the summer back in June. I think it was over Father's Day weekend. We had planned to have a youth gathering that Saturday before Father's Day, have a game truck come out, have some video game contests to engage them, and then while engaging with them, being able to hear from them some ideas, some things that they would be interested in, hearing from them first and foremost of how we can get them more involved in ministry. And so using that as an avenue, well, of course, COVID came along, disrupted that, but I'm still looking at possibly having an online gaming, doing that online gaming contest, even in the midst of this pandemic. There's ways that we can do it still online through this medium, and while doing it, engage with them that way as well. So I think to answer your question more directly, we can get them more involved by first going, interacting with them in their mediums, Snapchat, Twitch, um, to on a little bit lesser level, but more even a greater scale than even Facebook, Instagram. So engaging with them through their social media platforms to engage their interest, to hear from them what their interests are, and then being able to tailor how we do ministry to them based upon what they have shared with us. Makes sense? So I think, that's one of the things, that's just a couple of things that we're looking at. And one of the things that I really do believe that's going to be vitally important in us being able to do that is in involving them with the financial freedom piece, by allowing them opportunities to not only see, but hear from their peers who are already involved in entrepreneurial ventures, who are already engaged in investing and saving and building for their future. It's easier for me to be able to um, engage in that if I have the optic means of seeing my peers that's already doing it, because it serves as reassurance to me that, it is possible. I'm not, it's not too early. It's never too early for me to begin practicing and doing those principles, and pursuing those, pursuing my dreams. So I think that's, a critical, vitally important piece in what we're doing as a ministry as well, in terms of engaging our youth. So that's an awesome question, and one that I'm thinking about on a daily basis. And again, something that I would love to hear more from you all about, in terms of those on that have younger, that have youth, whether it's your child or even your grandchild. If you had those conversations with them, share that information. To find out what is it that we can do to get them more engaged in ministry. And my last thing, again, y'all keep while I'm pontificating. I mean, continue to post your questions, post your comments in terms of what we can do in terms of engaging you with the various content, and as well as in terms of ministry as well. I want to hear from you all. This is your opportunity to share with me some of the desires of your heart, some of the things that you desire, that you long for, in terms of becoming more engaged and more involved with as well. So let me hear from y'all. Talk to me. This is it. I mean, this is the opportunity. This is the time. You know, I wish I had an opportunity. When I was younger, before I became assumed more of a leadership role in the church. I wish I had opportunities like this to share, with what some of the things that I longed to know more about. You can't raise your hand, you can't hit the pause button, you can't hit the interrupt button on Sundays during service to say, "Hey, you just said something that just spoke to something that I'm dealing with." You can't do that then, but now's an opportunity to pull some of those questions of some of those things that you've some of those challenges that you may have felt you have dealt with. So that's what I'm wanting to hear. Iron sharpens iron, and so this is our iron sharpening opportunity with one another. No comments, no questions. Everybody's good, copacetic, everything's fine. Awesome. So let's do this. Like I said, I'm not going to be before you very long. I just wanted to share that information with you in terms of media content. It's going to couple of changes, revitalization of a couple of things, and then to hear from you all. Hey, praise God that you all. Hey, I'm assuming based upon your based upon the absence of any questions, responses, that y'all are being well fed. So hey, hey, praise be to God for that. Let's see, my better half says helping those in need. The conversation we had on yesterday. Yes, I'm glad you said that because that's actually what I plan on doing. So since you've segued into that, let me share with y'all just a couple of quick things that that Kim and I had a conversation. Well, it's not only Kim, Vakia, and I. We had as a family conversation on last night talking about doing. And it was my plan that on next segment of Let's Talk, everybody say fourth Tuesday, I was going to have Kim on here with me for us to have a conversation about that. So I'm still planning on doing that. But I think instead of just her and I being on, we're going to even bring the kid on with us. Because again, going back to Bridget's question, that's another way that we can kind of engage, even though she isn't youth, she's young adult. Again, that's another way that we can get young adults engaged by including her in the conversation, hearing from her as well. But long story short, last night we were talking about in terms of doing ministry. There's a vitally important need, especially right now. I guess what we're dealing with and facing this pandemic has really highlighted a lot of the needs of the people. And so we were tossing ideas, talking about and getting involved and getting involved with housing and being able to, by getting involved in housing, provide housing, low income housing, housing for low income housing for individuals, in particular, homeless, transitory individuals, being able, engaging with them. That's ministry, by being able to engage with them, providing low income housing for them, resources. And not only housing, but being able to provide training to these individuals to prepare for employment opportunities so they will have sustainable, meaningful employment opportunities. And so, we're having this conversation. What started off, we're talking about, especially with the holiday season, as a ministry, what we have done in the past in terms of identifying individuals and families and being able to provide them. In the past, as a ministry, we provided meals to families. But I've shared this with the church, and I think I may even shared it on doing one of the live broadcasts. As a pastor, one of the things that I'm trying to transition us away from doing as a ministry, not transition us away, but transition us into doing as a ministry, is to being able to provide not only meaningful, but sustainable opportunities for individuals. It was wonderful what we did when we identify 3-4 families for Thanksgiving, go buy them a Thanksgiving meal, and deliver them that Thanksgiving meal for them to have a Thanksgiving meal. But we've only done that. We've provided them with a Thanksgiving meal, possibly some leftovers. But now looking at opportunities, ways, avenues, means through which we can provide them with sustainable opportunities, so that they can, not only we have to, pat ourselves on the back and say, oh, you provide them with a Thanksgiving meal, but being able to say you provided them with opportunities to have a meal on their table every day. So, we started off having that conversation, and then it morphed, started talking about, housing, the lack of housing opportunities. And here's the example that we discussed, we talked about, and I'm so glad you brought this up. We talked about, you take an individual that's receiving $750 a month, Social Security disability income, $750 a month, Social Security disability income. How far is $750 going to go a month? Not very far. And so we was having that discussion, talking about that, and it was like, $750 a month, that's supposed to cover your rent, that's supposed to cover your utilities, that's supposed to cover, all of your other necessities. So we, started talking about, one of the things that we can do, and we weren't talking about in terms of ministry, but we're just talking about what we could do, is, possibly developing a nonprofit and being able to provide housing opportunities, for those individuals, low income housing, where they can, have affordable housing, and, being able to have those sustainable things, and engaging them in different, vocational training programs or what have you, to, being able to help supplement that income as well. So that's one of the things, is what we talked about. And, again, that's holistic ministry, y'all, whether or not you realize it. So we're going to have a longer, more in-depth discussion about that Tuesday after next. I keep saying Tuesday, Wednesday after next on Let's Talk, when I have her and Vicky on with me. And we're going to have a discussion and looking at, avenues, things that we can do, not only as a church, but as individuals, and being able to do that. So that, I hope, that kind of touch on, give you a highlight of what's to come. I mean, that's kind of also, y'all, where we're kind of looking at going in kind of going in that direction, in that vein, for Heart to Heart. We can come on Fridays and talk about the different relationship issues, but I really do think that the crux, I really think that the crux of a healthy relationship is not only being able to communicate effectively, not only being on the same page financially with one another, but I also think is what it all boils down to is, liking your partner. And I say that in jest, but it's true. I think it's important that you're able to be on the same page with each other, not only in those three critical important areas, because of course research has shown that it's those three areas that are leading causes of divorce. But I truly do believe that if I not only love my partner, but I also like my partner. It makes it a lot easier to weather to being able to weather those storms. So we're looking at, more meaningful, more engaging content like that to bring to you. So if there's no other comments, no questions, as I said, praise be to God. I'm assuming, let me know if I'm off base, but I'm assuming that, if judging by the absence of questions, of suggestions, that everyone that's tuned in feel as if, hey, you're being adequately fed, you're receiving a healthy, a healthy dosage of ministry holistically, I pray. So praise be to God for that. Thank you all for tuning in. And again, we're always looking. I'm always looking for ways to being able to effectively bring ministry to you, especially in this time. My last thing, and I'm done. I'm going to go and watch the Masked Singer, because I want to see who's behind these masks tonight. But my last thing is this, talking about being able to effectively engage. Got some major announcements coming in due season about, where we're headed. And what direction this ship is sailing as a ministry. In due season, we'll be sharing that information, though, making that, a couple of major announcements. But I thank each and every one of you for your dedication, your commitment, your followership, because if it wasn't for you all, I wouldn't be able to come on. However often that I do come on to share with you all. And I just pray that you all are continuously being fed, being ministered to, and that as a ministry, you're finding you're coming on because you have identified Rejoice and Praise Community Church as a ministry that is sincere and serious about engaging and meeting the needs of God's people, of not only God's people, but also reaching out to even the unsaved and letting them know that God loves them as much as he even loves us, and that he still stands at the door and knock. That's my prayer as a pastor, that we just continue to do that we continue lifting up the name of Jesus, and all who will hear and be receptive will receive it. And as long as we do that, I really feel as if we're doing our part. So y'all be blessed. Remember this, how I always, what I always say, love you no matter what. And it's my prayer that you'll continuously be fed and you'll continuously find something in what we share and say with you that will continue to edify and glorify the Lord. And you'll be blessed all the more. Y'all be blessed. See you all Sunday. See you Sunday, if God's will. Be blessed.